Welcome to another edition of Charlie Drives with me, Douglas. Because Charlie can't drive, he can really, but not, you guys get it right. So Charlie's stuck at home playing on the Xbox, drinking beer. Everybody else is pretty much stuck at home because they don't want anybody going out. You got to wear your face masks, like this one. Anyhow, this episode we're going to do an oil change in a 718 Porsche. You guys can get a kind of an idea of what it really is like to work on some of these really neat cars that we do videos on. So today we're changing the oil on a 2018 Porsche 718 Cayman GTS for my buddy Keith. And I thought while we had it on the lift we would go ahead and send a little video to see what the 4-cylinder turbocharged looked like underneath. The parts that no one ever really gets to see. Of course, like everything in Porsche, it's fairly cramped. But look at the size of that turbocharger. That's huge. Wow. And it's really odd to see only 4 exhaust ports. It's kind of funny, looks like a Subaru from underneath. Maybe Porsche's taken a turn from Scooby-Doo. No, not really. Don't think so at all. But anyways, there's your exhaust. That's towards the front of the car, that way. Over here is your water pumping belt. There's that big fucking turbo, the big huge turbo, sorry. I will say that it looks like Porsche has definitely left some room for improvement on its exhaust system, which is not uncommon in that company for a regular street car, which is fine. That's nice. These are beautiful. This phone does not do that justice. But definitely could put something a little bit bigger, a little bit more free flowing, a little bit lighter, perhaps a bit of a reflash with a little bit more boost. Just an idea. So doing an oil change on one of these cars, the first thing you will need to do is to remove the skid plate, which lives here. I'm going to pan over there and look at it. That's the skid plate. You can see it's quite a monstrosity. In order to remove that, you will have some T20 screws you'll need to remove. You will also have some 10mm nuts you will need to remove. Once that's removed, you can identify that here is the drain plug, and then up and over here is the oil filter, and I have got to tell you that thing is going to be an absolute MF to get to. Can you even see? Here's my hand. Look at that. It's almost like you want to remove the axle to do this job. I mean, I'm not going to, but it's kind of a... yeah. Anyhow. To drain the oil, you will need an 8mm Allen. And the very first step of all this, by the way, I forgot to mention, you've got to remove the oil cap off the back. We'll get to that at the end of it when we fill it, but remove the oil cap first, let the thing cool off, and then go at all this. Alright, so moving on. 8mm. 3/8 drive is good. A wee bit of an extension. Come to it here and here, and then just, I always advise people when they do oil changes on Porsches, make sure that you get a really wide drain pan, typically an adapter, because this stuff will spew out like, they're a bit of a gusher. And one other thing, where are my manners and safety? Glasses for safety. Start the drip. Here we go. 1, 2, and a 3, and that's why you have a wide one. You see the mess it makes? It goes bloody everywhere. So many jokes I could make about this right now. So at this point we've let it drain for, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. The engine is warm when you do this. You want the oil to be warm, so it'll kind of get all of it out that it can. Some people like to sit there and let them drain for hours. There's no point. Just 20 minutes is plenty. When you get to this stage, you're good. So first thing, go ahead and reinstall the drain plug. So I am currently studying how to get the oil filter off this car, and I'm sure some of you people have already done this oil change that are watching this, and if you did, props, because that oil filter is an absolute... So ultimately, I have the correct tool, and I have a vast amount of other tools to try and make this happen, but so far I've been 10 minutes into it and I can't figure out how to quite get to it. And I'm not taking the wheel off, or the headlight level switch on it off. So, I figured it out. It's a 22mm wrench. And this really sucks. If this is the future of Porsche, I don't know if I want to keep working on these bloody things. God almighty. Are they always this tight? Or am I just getting weaker? I don't know. I'm gonna get older. I'm gonna lose my hand. Oh, we're getting closer. So's that. Almost there. Here we go. And a little closer. It's getting looser. Good God. You've got to be joking. It's getting closer, I'm dropping it now. Oh, come on, baby. Give it to me. A little bit more. And... oh, you dirty bastard. Come on. The longest oil change in history. I was reading a thing on the internet this morning as I started to do this, because I've never done one of these, and there's a guy going, yeah, some Porsche people, it takes them like 3 hours to change it. I get that now. It'd take you 3 hours buggering about to get it racked, get the skid plate off, get the oil filter, but I think our hard work may, oh, if I get my hand on it. Wow. Or not. There we go. And come on. It's hot. Oh, and here comes the dripper. And good God almighty. This has got to be one of the hardest filters ever to get off a car. Well, looks like you're going to have to take the level switch off if you do it on a drive-on ramp. After a fair bit of pissing about and removing the level switch on the left-hand side, finally. I tell you what, there are times in this industry when you wish you could talk to the R&D boys and go, how much of a budget did you have? How many people on the design team? And that's the best you guys could do? Really? There's a reason why people want them to do it at the dealer nowadays. Too much of a pain in the ass otherwise. When you do the oil change, as per any Porsche, most cars actually have cartridge style, you have the O-ring that you will discard. Look inside it. Make sure that you don't see anything broken. Can you even see that with the camera? I don't know. Sometimes I've seen those little plunger things come loose. So always look, make sure, and also to make sure there's nothing in there with part numbers. Charlie and Porsches. Boxsters. Alright, so we have our new filter and our new O-ring. We will save that for a second. We will take the filter and we will notice that it goes in like this, and it should click just like that. Take our O-ring and then stretch the O-ring, slippery, around, and then ideally get yourself a bit of fresh engine oil and lubricate that O-ring and lubricate that O-ring. It will make installation a lot easier. Some people use grease, I use oil. It's slippery either which way. So now we'll try reinstalling it. So, if this was in a Haynes manual for oil changes, you know they've got those little indicator graphs, tell you how hard it is. They put wrenches in, they say, oh, it's level 3. Well, they should do a different chart that goes with it.
pain in the ass chart, and it should be a 5-scale thing. And on this, I would have to give this job for a simple thing like an oil change, like a pain in the ass factor of 3. So, we'll finish up the video, filling up the car, and then showing you the reset. The last thing to do, when you're just about done with it, is clean all the oil off of it. There is oil kind of there, right there, that. We're going to go ahead and get rid of stuff like that. So I like to use a bit of brake cleaner, a lot of ventilation, a lot of face maskage, and just have at it. Make it nice and clean. You don't want to smell the oil burning on the exhaust. So on these cars, when you go to fill them up with oil, left hand side is your oil, right hand side is coolant. Never open that when this is hot. Always check it when it's cold. Don't need to touch that today. So this engine requires 5.7 litres of either 0W40 or 5W40 engine oil. I prefer using Liquimoly. This is some of the best oil that we can get here in the States, at least. It is actually to Porsche specification, Renault, BMW, Opel, GM, so it is very good oil. It is ideal for this car. So ultimately, get the old funnel, and at 5.7, this is real easy. Start out with a fresh 5. You already know this one, and let it just eat. Notice, that's the reason why you put a liner in the bottom of these, because you don't want oil on your carpet. Accidents happen. Try to be as good as you can always, but sometimes, just the way it is. And that should be 5.7. And now what we'll do is put the cover on it, give it a couple seconds, let it settle, and then we'll check it through the cluster. Sure is a sexy looking car. God, it does look gorgeous. Oof. Yeah, well, I've got to admit, it does kind of sound a little Subaru-y. Not that we'd know anything about that. Cool car. So, the best part of any oil change is the test drive. And here I am today with Keith Boring, who owns this car. Hey. Keith is the web designer for the local Porsche club, is that right?
Yes.
And you've been doing that for how long, Keith?
About 8 years.
Yeah, a while. He does an amazing website, by the way. Charlie, you ever need another guy? That's your guy. That's the tech dude. Anyways, we're gonna go drive his really nice Porsche. So, like all Porsches that I've ever been in, it's got amazing visibility. Something that a lot of other car manufacturers can't seem to quite get right. These guys do it well. This is my first drive of one of these. I've never outgrown one of these yet. Ooh. Beautiful day for it. I love this steering wheel.
Put it in sport.
Ooh.
Turn. No, turn.
Turn. Ooh. Alright, cool. Do you remember that day I totaled your new Porsche, Keith? Come on. Come on. Oh, we're about to. Let's go, baby. Woo! For a 4-cylinder from Porsche, this can be a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun in its factory form. Wow. Ooh, I love the BDK. It was worth the oil filter fight. It just was. So Keith has added this carbon fiber ring, these carbon fiber overlays. Where'd you get them from, Keith?
China. From eBay, China.
I don't know we can buy from China right now. So now we'll go ahead and we'll do the reset for the service indicator. There are several different options available to you. Some people use Durometrics. There's a company iScan, Launch Tools do things that will do it. We here like to use the AutoLogic. It is actually a UK company originally. It's very big here in the States now, and it enables me to pretty much do everything the dealers can do to these cars. So companies like AutoLogic enable people like myself as independents to continue working on these vehicles. These guys are very, very bright. So it's self-explanatory. We call this the giant Etch-a-Sketch. So point and click. So it's a Porsche. We click Porsche, it goes into it. We can auto detect it, or we can go out and pick it individually. We'll pick it individually. We'll call it a 718 Cayman. There we are. It states to go ahead and put a flash recharger on it. For this case, we don't. They say do it, I say doesn't need it. Battery's strong enough. For this part, you ever reprogram or code keys, always hook up to a flash reprogramming charger. Never let battery voltage get too much or too little, because then you have problems. Carry on, and then in here, this is the maintenance screen, if you will. We can go into the drive, which is engine, powertrain, gearbox stuff, then the body of the vehicle, chassis, ABS, stuff like that. Quick test, we'll go through and identify everything in the car, but what we want is special functions. Reset maintenance interval, we'll select it, and then from here we can state if we want to do a main maintenance, intermediate maintenance, or oil service. We did an oil service. That's what we are going to reset. Push reset, and it'll ask me for the date, which today's date is the 2nd of May, 2020. Press OK, and then it will go through and it's reset it. That is how you properly reset your service light. So now what we'll do is we'll check the oil level in the car, and at that point we come up to this screen, push forward, go to oil measurement, push forward again, and there it is. The oil level is correct. So 5.7 litres, couple of wee burns, couple interesting words, 2 hours, and your oil change, your GTS is done. Just that simple. So here's a tidbit as well for all you ultra OCD Porsche people. And I never even knew this until Keith pointed this out to me. See, you learn something new every day. When these cars are new from the factory, the bottom of the shield on the crest points to the tire stem. So, whenever you replace these things, if you want to be that guy, make sure that it points to the valve stem. Makes perfect sense. I shall always do it that way from here on out. First off, we've got a 1974 Triumph TR6. Super cool car. Straight six. Goes really well for being an old Triumph. Jag. Engine, gearbox. Another Jag. Older one. Old Mark II. Engine, gearbox. And then we had this dropped off today. It's come in for a no start, so we'll have to see if we can get that going. Other than that, what else have we got for a cool lineup? Well, over in the back we've got another 996. Those things are like a stray cat. You give one a little bit of milk, follow them on, and they're everywhere. And then from over here, old 928, old 944 convertible, the beloved Evolution, old Range Rover, the kind of the Astra. Maybe for the next edition of Charlie Drives with Douglas, putting fuel pumps in this 04 Lamborghini.